I've told you all this stuff about what AI bots are doing in terms of the bad things, reputational loss, financial loss. It creates mistrust. You can turn this risk into a revenue stream for you. Welcome, bienvenidos, benvinguts. My name is Marcus Gregory. I'm the distribution, or the director of distribution for Blackwall for Iberia. Before I go on, I'm going to talk to you about the changing structure, the changing dynamics of internet traffic. And what I'm going to hopefully try and do is outline to you how that is changing, what the risks are, and ultimately what I really want to do is put to you, to the MSP community, the idea that there is another service, another upsell, another cross-sell that you could include in your service portfolio by adopting some of the solutions and some of the things that I'm going to talk about to mitigate the risks that I'm going to explain to you now. Before I go on, I do want to say a quick thank you to MSP Global for a fantastic event. And I also want to say a quick thank you and hello to Jeff Hardy, who is a wonderful person. I saw him last year, I've seen him regularly, and I just wanted to say thanks to him. He's going to drag me off stage in about 15 minutes, so he'll probably have something to say about it then. I can see him now. So, where am I? Let's have a look. From clicks to chaos, internet silent takeover. What we're referring to here essentially is the changing dynamics of internet traffic. It's changing drastically, and there's a step change that we're seeing right now, primarily because of something called AI. At the minute, am I on the right slide? I am indeed. 51% of all internet traffic is generated by AI bots. That is a huge number. It's ever increasing. That's a 2024 figure. The 2025 figure, don't quite know what it is, but we can only assume that it is going up in a positive stroke negative direction. I'm going to use my cheat sheet because my eyesight is absolutely dreadful. That 51% traffic, 37% of it is bots that are essentially not wanted, bad bots. And just to talk about those bots, I'm going to talk about them in a bit more detail in a few moments and get into some examples so you can understand what they look like. Good bots, what are we referring to by good bots? Search engine crawlers, search engine optimization, digital assistants, things that probably most of you know about but don't actually control, maybe in search engine optimization to a certain extent, some of you do. Monitoring and uptime bots, this is where you as MSPs will have used tools that use those bots to gather that data. Partner integrations and API connections. Those are the good bots. The bad bots, what are we talking about here? We're talking about scrapers, content thieves, distributed denial of service attacks, fraudsters, credential hackers. When I joined Blackwall, there were a number of terms that I didn't even know about. Scalpers, scrapers, spammers, checkout abusers, impersonators. These are all bots generated by AI that make up 51% of that traffic that is essentially damaging to anybody that's managing a website or has a public website out there. Let's keep moving. So it was never very easy. I started in 1997 in IT, and the first thing I ever did was a project to put in a token ring network and put an exchange server in some offices in Madrid. Network management was easy. There was just a network. Then we had the invent of cloud. I can introduce many other concepts as well. Virtualization, thin client, iPhones, social media. None of that existed when the internet was essentially developed and started moving forward. Now we've got this massive component, this huge component called AI. It's changing everything in terms of what we do on a daily basis, in terms of how we work, how we organize ourselves, and in terms of the content that we see. And you see it across social media all the time, oh, it's AI generated. What essentially does that phrase mean? Very often it means, or it's insinuating, or somebody's trying to insinuate that something is fake. It's a term that we're now using on a daily basis. So it's becoming ever increasingly more difficult and more impossible to keep up with what essentially internet traffic is looking like. That's the tipping point that I'm talking about. And I'm going to talk to you about some specific, or get into a few details around some of these specific bots, spam bots. This is prolific across social media. Bots gathering information, sending out and putting things on social media with a specific agenda, with I hate to say it, but geopolitical ideas, the left, the right, etc., etc. Spam. It's a huge amount of rubbish that we're seeing. How do you know what's right? How do you know what's wrong? Where are they getting that information from? How is it getting to you? That is all using internet traffic, and the message here is that MSPs have an opportunity to control that, or should be controlling that. Credential hackers. I'll get into an interesting story about that in a second. Scalper bots. I didn't even know what this was. Bots that are buying up stock, bots that are using AI to buy specific items on the internet to then resell them at a higher price. Denial of inventory, that's a similar type of concept where a bot will buy an item on an e-commerce site but won't process it at the checkout. So that then that stock is then basically reserved for somebody that hasn't completed a purchase. Ad fraud, going back, internet ads, they're a huge business. If 51% of all of the traffic that is seeing ads and somebody's paying for those ads, and 51% of what they're paying for is not actually a human but an automated bot, what is the return on investment? What are the true metrics? These are all sort of things that we classify and categorize as bad bots within what we work with. So I'll get into a little bit of detail. Spam bot, I've talked about it very briefly. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I've got 9 minutes left. We know what spam bots are. It essentially can ruin somebody's reputation. I'm sure you've all heard of various different instances where reviews, TripAdvisor, etc., people have given bad reviews and it's damaged an organization. Some of those reviews are generated by bots, using AI, automated bots to create bad press, to create bad reputational damage. There's a cost associated to that. Scalper bots is an interesting case here. I didn't even know about this when I joined the organization. The PS5, when it was launched, big launch, and there's been many other instances of this as well. The launch of a fantastic product, everybody wanted to buy it. There were bots out there that were buying it so that essentially they could resell it at a higher price through other channels. It damages essentially the reputation of that organization. And also a lot of these purchases are made with fraudulent credit cards as well, where the credit cards have been sold from breaches, etc., and it stresses payment systems, and it creates an awful lot of problem and an awful lot of stress for people that are managing these websites and essentially looking to try and control exactly what's happening. Denial of inventory, I've mentioned it very briefly. This is another one. These Nike shoes, which I didn't even know about either. They were launched, big news, etc. Like I said before, people were buying them, not going to the checkout, so that stock was essentially being held up. It was all then being resold in different areas. There's a younger generation, younger than ours, that are a little bit more involved in these types of things, and essentially AI bots and bad actors within the world that, as we know it, they're essentially using these bots to create damage and harm. I'm going to keep moving through ad fraud. I spoke about it very briefly earlier. If 51% of all traffic that is getting to a website and seeing an ad is an automated bot, what is your ROI? What is your true ROI? Are you really getting value for money? If you could, as an MSP community, if you could control what information actually gets through to a website, and I'll get onto this in a bit more detail, if you could control that, you're essentially going to be able to increase that ROI for that organization that's paying for those ads. They're going to get a better return on it, primarily because they know that the traffic that is seeing those ads is genuine, it's human, it's not AI generated. Credential crackers. I got a little story about this. I got some time. Credential crackers. What the hell is this? I was at home about 6 years ago with my ex-wife. That's another story. I'm not going into that. And there's an application here in Spain called Glovo, Glovo. And it was like Urban Fetch in New York in the year 2000. You can literally buy food, you can buy whatever you want, you can buy pharmacy, you can buy supermarket stuff. Saturday night, I'm sat at home, and all of a sudden I see that I'm starting to order loads of stuff. What the hell am I doing? I look at my phone. I'm ordering sushi in Moscow. And I spent about $300, or 300 euros, sorry, on about 5 or 6 different deliveries for various parts of the city in Moscow for some very delicious-looking sushi. Somebody had hacked my account, was ordering, and they'd done it en bloc, and they'd done it in a very short space of time, because then everything disappeared. I could see the deliveries were actually being made. The problem that I then had was trying to get my money back. Why was it a problem? Here in Spain, where I live, to get my money back, the first thing I had to do was go to the police station. write a denuncia, as they call it, denounce the facts, give them all the details, blah, 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 then put it to my bank, then put it to Glovo. They were denying any responsibility. I was 300 euros down. It's not a huge amount of money for me. It is big, it is cash. It was the annoyance, it was the hassle of it that really sort of annoyed me most. But that was a credential attack that happened to me, and it's probably happening to hundreds of thousands of people every day all over the world. It's probably, I don't know what the numbers are, it's got to be more than that. But it is just really frustrating and it is just really annoying. And if you're responsible, as MSPs, or anybody that is responsible for managing these websites, managing these applications as well, that is a huge risk to them, and it creates problems in terms of reputational damage. I didn't order from Glovo for a couple of months because of this, because I was pretty peed off with them, if you'll excuse the phrase. So that's another example of credential hacking. Scraper bots, the LinkedIn case that's going on right now. So LinkedIn, part of a wider group of organizations, they are suing an organization that essentially was scraping data off LinkedIn profiles in terms of the name, the photo, what that person looked like, where they'd previously worked, what they'd previously done, what were their specialities, etc. And they were selling that data on in for huge amounts of money. And LinkedIn had got onto this, I think, on the 7th of October. The court cases started to move forward. But essentially, LinkedIn are suing this organization that used AI automated bots to capture all of this information, chuck it in a database, and then start selling it and making money off it. And that's you and me. That's our data. That's my profile, potentially. That's potentially your profiles. Another example. So I've told you all this stuff about what AI bots are doing in terms of the bad things. The consequences of it, let's repeat them a little bit. I've mentioned them before. Reputational loss, financial loss. It creates mistrust. On social media, or AI generated, it's a term of phrase to basically say something's fake now. It's taking us in a direction where we need to understand who is visiting the websites that we might be managing, or the online presences that we have, to understand who is coming to visit us, what they're doing with the data that we're publishing, and where they're taking it to. So what can you do? My message, I've worked for the MSP community, I've done outsourcing deals, I've been in this industry for a long, long time, so I have been in your shoes. What can you do about this? There are numerous things that you can do. Oops, I've gone backwards instead of forwards. First of all, you can turn this risk into a revenue stream for you. It is not particularly difficult to do. There are tool sets out there. There are things that will help you pitch to your customers if you're managing their websites, if you're building their websites, if you're managing their infrastructure. There are things that you can put into a service description, into your services pipeline, move it into your services portfolio, make packages out of it, offer it to your customers with a very short, succinct description around what it is that you're doing, and ultimately you're going to give them the message to say, I'm going to reduce the risk for you, I'm going to improve performance, I have an all-in-one tool set that will do application load balancing, it will manage distributed denial of service attacks, it will manage these bots, you can decide what traffic attacks or visits your site or not, and you can decide who is going to go and see those assets that are online. A web application firewall, content distribution networks, all of these things are available. SSL management as well, the last one on the slide that I forgot to mention. There are tool sets out there that can help you do this. You can put these tool sets, you can analyze these tool sets, and you can create service packages around them. Put them in your services portfolio. It might very well be a cross-sell, it might very well be an upsell for you. Either way, it's something that you can do to address the problem that I've just spoken to you about. The next step for humans, this is a bit of a joke really, I've been talking about automated bots that use AI, etc., etc. The next step for humans is a call to action on yourselves. If you own, run, are involved with an MSP, have a think about this. This is something that you could incorporate into your services portfolio. If you are managing websites, if you're managing the infrastructure, if you're a hoster, if you have customers that you're developing websites for, e-commerce sites, any type of corporate website, etc., if you're doing any of that activity for any of your customers, you can add on top of that a service to manage the traffic post-implementation, post-launch. And that really is my message to you. We are at booth D04 downstairs. My name is Marcus Gregory. I am a Brit, but I live here in Spain. My mother's Spanish. I'm in charge of essentially Spain here. but we work in 30 countries across the globe. Our name is Blackwall. If you want to find out more about anything that I've spoken to you about, please feel free to come and speak to me and to my colleagues. And thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day here, and hopefully I might see some of you downstairs on our stand. Thank you.